The Radio Wammo Breakfast.
Game junkie, Gerard Campbell.
Welcome to Bizarre Creation. This is where we're developing Blair.
Tell you what, when you've got a bit of a racing game, you kind of want a good soundtrack to motivate you to reach the next level. The game junkie Gerard Campbell has been playing a game called Blur and Split Second Velocity. Good morning to you, Gerard Campbell.
Good morning to you, sir. How are you?
Very, very well. Split Second Velocity, is that the second game we're looking at?
Yes, it is. Yeah, it is.
Both races.
Yeah, well, you're a bit of a fan of the old races, so I thought we haven't looked at some racing ones for a while.
No.
And, these two they're relatively new, and, we'll start with Blur. Blur comes from Bizarre Creations, and, they were the game studio that did the Project Gotham Racing and those ones, so they've got a really strong pedigree in racing games. And Blue's really, it's a really interesting one because it's... it's got power-ups that you can pick up, so you can shunt cars with power-ups, you can fire, lightning bolts, and you can drop mines on the track. So it's really, it's almost a really sort of high-tech, almost kart racing style, that you've got to race through your tracks, and try and cause as much damage as you can to opponents, and sort of impede them as you make your way through. And it's a really fast-paced, really sort of, you can see from video, real sort of neon bright colours and really sort of electro soundtrack, which, as you said, racing games really are well suited to a really good, funky sort of beats, and this one certainly has it by the bucket loads.
So you feel motivated, but the interesting thing about this was, is as you say, you have the ability to shunt other people off. And in fact, do they in fact encourage that sort of driving?
Yeah, well, it is. I mean, a lot of the races now, especially, and I guess. You look back to games like Burnout and those sort of things, causing as much havoc and mayhem now is just as much fun, and an integral part, as just getting from A to B, In the past, races used to be start at A, go through the checkpoints, get to B, and then progress. But, these days, a lot of races, there's a lot of carnage going on. There's a lot of encouragement to, bump other cars and wreck other cars, and that all these games have these great disclaimers at the front, say that don't do this at, on the road, drive safely, So it's really encouraged, that it's not just driving from A to B, it's actually get involved and get and cause a bit of chaos and, do that sort of destruction stuff on your way to get to B. And
how did you find the controls on this one?
It was cool. I probably haven't played as much of Blur as I had of Split Second. But I mean, it's just like any sort of fast-paced racing game that that if you miss the power-up, you curse yourself because you think you could have used a power-up at that stage. But they're pretty well put out through the track. That you can actually pick up several power-ups, and it's nice to sort of experiment. You can hold up to 3 at once, so it's good to sort of experiment with what order you use them and sort of when you use them. So there's a nice bit of logical thought going on, how you think you can best use your power-ups to sort of disable your enemies behind you.
Okay, tell us about Split Second then. How does this one differ?
Split Second I really enjoyed. Split Second it's different because, most racing games that we see at the moment are set in, realistic cities or realistic courses. You might be racing through Tokyo or San Francisco or Los Angeles. In Split Second, what you are is that you start off as a rookie driver in a TV series called Split Second. So as you're racing through the track, and there are tracks that are set up with explosives around them, essentially. So you're part of this really popular high adrenaline TV show.
Yeah,
and. So as you're driving through, you can see there's camera booms and there's helicopters with cameras flying around. And what you want to do is that you've got a meter at the bottom of your screen that you fill up by doing things like drafting behind cars or drifting around corners or that sort of thing. And then when you've got a quarter of your meter there filled up, your blue meter, you can do something called a power play, which is that you can press, I think it's the A button. I was playing the Xbox 360 version. Press the A button, and that essentially detonates an explosive near one of your rival cars.
Right,
so
cool.
he'll explode, so there'll be fireballs and there'll be all sorts of chaos. And then if you fill up your meter right at the very end, and so you've got 2 blue sectors and a red one, you can press the B button, and that gives you multiple power plays. So you can blow up 3 or 4 cars that are in front of you. So you're getting barrels blowing up, and you're getting debris thrown onto the tracks. And an interesting thing too is that the course can actually be changed while you're driving.
Yeah.
At the press of a button, the track layout gets changed. So you're constantly sort of on your toes, thinking, will I be following the same route in the next lap? So and I think I probably like Split Second more because it was, it wasn't set in this realistic city environment. It was obviously it's a staged racetrack for this TV show, so you're going to expect that there's going to be explosions that you can time at certain points, and it just added a nice variety to it. And I was really surprised with it. It was one of the probably one of the most enjoyable races that I've played for a while. And I guess too, if you're a fan of the Burnout series, where those modes in Burnout where you could create as much chaos by jumping ramps and then flying into cars. This is really going to appeal to you. You're going to love it a lot.
Cool. It sounds like an emphasis on fun, and I think that's sort of lacking from the serious races. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I think that fun factor is a really big thing for races. I think serious races have their place. Like Formula One games and the Gran Turismos and those sorts of things. But I think there's also a nice place for that fun-filled, get in. Race hard, cause a bit of chaos, bit of mayhem, and then move on. So yeah, really enjoyed these two. I think they're sort of perhaps not highly hyped, these two, but I think they're well worth a look for fans of what's something a wee bit different in their racing games.
Great, thanks very much, Gerard Campbell.
Not a problem, Wammo. You have a good day.
You too. You can find out more about these games at the Game Junkie blog. It's up on stuff.co.nz. Also, have a conversation with Gerard on Twitter, twitter.com/